Hello and welcome once again to the Power Lunch live show. I am your host, Michael Whitehouse, the guy who knows a guy, and every week I bring together between 1 and 4 awesome, interesting people chosen by our two producers, Serendipity and Random Happenstance. And one of our guests asked me before we started, is there a theme? And I said, the theme is you're all free on June 28th. There's probably another theme, but I don't know what it is yet, but we're about to find out. So that is what this show is all about. I would also like to let you know that this show is brought to you by JV Connect. That is the flagship event that I run. And it is, in my opinion, and the opinion of everyone who attended this week, one of the best virtual networking events on the internet. The next one, because the last one was this past week, can't go to that one, but you can go to the next one, September 10th and 11th. We may or may not add a third day. I don't know. But jv-connect.com. I just realized I haven't remembered to raise the price yet. I was supposed to, but it's still only $50 for now if you're watching live. So when I get off this, I might change it. I might not. But if you like to connect with awesome people, make powerful connections, and have a good time, you should come to JV Connect. If you do not like to make awesome connections or have a good time, you should not come because you won't enjoy it at all. But if you like that, you should definitely come. All right. With that, I've now spoken for the requisite 6 seconds so that you guys can find us on the live feed. You want to see who's behind me? Good, because you are about to. Ta-da! We have a full lineup. We have 4 guests. It's actually the first time since the relaunch that we have had 4 guests, so it's really cool. And I did about 50 episodes about a year ago, and then people stopped signing up, which I figured was the producers, Serendipity and Random Happenstance, saying, you're done, take a break. So I did. And then I saw I was still paying for StreamYard, and I said, hey, I don't want to cancel. I want to do it again. Let's go. So let's meet some of these awesome people. So let's switch to this format. So starting with Dr. Myke Merrill, you will notice also, Kathi pointed out she's surrounded by Michaels, and I said, yes, and all 3 are spelled in different ways. None of us are spelled differently because, as Dr. Myke said, they're all spelled in a way that is not differently. So anyway, Dr. Myke, tell us briefly about yourself.
I don't think that's possible to tell briefly about myself. I write books and I do stuff. I'm pretty good at some of it. I'm really terrible at other parts of it. The 2 projects I'm currently working on, one is called Reality Intelligence, which is how human beings experience their own world and find their place in it. I'm working on that project. It's a 30-segment online course. And I also wrote a book on the biblical book of Revelation. I think it is the original idea that John had, which is very different from every other idea out there. Usually when I present that idea, I get, you're insane, you're crazy, you're on mushrooms, stop talking. So we'll see what happens today.
Then you are in the right place, because I've yet to call anyone crazy, but I do find unique views interesting. So great. Next up is Kathi.
Hey there. Yeah, I love being surrounded by mics. My brother is Myke as well, so Myke is good. Anyhow, I'm Kathi Burns. I'm a board certified professional organizer and a squirrel wrangler. I help my clients stay focused and stop jumping from branch to branch, chasing squirrels all over the place so that they get more done in less time. My company's organizeandenergize.com, which is right there. And basically, you know, we all get distracted. There's distractions everywhere. And as entrepreneurs, we are the biggest distractor agents in the world. And the whole idea is to stay focused, stay linear. And I'll talk about that in a little bit more. My latest book is Tetris, Home Organizing with Tetris. If you guys like to play games, it's a really cool book. It actually aligns the organizing processes of either home or business. It doesn't matter. Organizing anything is the same thing for everything. You can jump into the Tetris book, which was released right after Christmas last year.
That is super cool. Sorry, I got distracted for a minute. All right, next up is Michaell M.
Hi, Michael. What am I? I am Michael. One of one, Michael. In the whole world of one of one, Michael, like everybody else is one of one. And we are so unique. And everybody's a genius. And that's basically my message. We are not system relevant. I am a CEO in a corner office of New York. That is an image. But what is our one of oneness? That's the absolute power, our one of oneness. And to dance with each other like we do here with you, Michael, is the key of finding the synergistic fit that actually is more effective than anything a system can do. Any coaching, anything. And that's what I am. Thank you for allowing me to paint here. Yeah, I'm an artist.
Welcome to the show. And I love the concept. That's kind of what the show is based on. Everyone has something to share, or at least everyone who self-selects to say, I want to be on a show, has something to share. You put them all together and some cool things happen.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Vera McCoy, Esquire.
Hello, everyone. It's so nice to meet all of you today. My name's Vera McCoy. As you can see, I am the podcaster of Financial First Aid. I have a program I've been working on for a while to help entrepreneurs who have financial challenges. And I have a program that I'm working on to get that to a place where all my entrepreneur people can jump on and we can figure out a way to better serve each other in hopes of making you financially free. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. I just recently was published in a bestseller with Cesar Espeño, You Can Do Anything, and that's With Courage. That's volume number 13. He has a whole series of books on that same topic. You can do anything. So please hit me up on my text, and we'll see what we can do. And subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll put that on later. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Well, welcome, everyone. This seems like it's going to be an interesting show, and enough people. I don't have to carry it. Actually, I didn't have to carry it. Even when we had one guest 2 weeks ago, and Barry Shore, the ambassador of joy, messaged me. He's like, "Hey, can I jump in there?" And I'm like, "Sure." And then we had two guests. Then there was a conversation. I just sat back and watched it. It was awesome. So that it is now time for our first lead presenter. So then I got a bio for you, actually. Just remembered, I asked for bios for you. So Dr. Myke Merrill lives by the motto, constantly curious. He's written a few books, traveled a bunch of places, learned a lot of stuff, and every day finds something somewhere to discover totally new. At least to him, it's new. And he came to my attention. He was in my email community, but I shared my understanding of some ancient Greek, and he corrected my misapprehension of some ancient Greek in a very thoughtful and not accusatory way, which is always nice to be corrected in a kind way on the internet. And then I'm like, this guy's pretty cool. I like him. I should have him on this show. And here he is. So Dr. Myke Merrill, teach us something.
That is quite an introduction, which I wrote myself. So thank you for sharing that. I started out to be a clinical psychologist about 60 years ago, 50 something years ago. And over a course of several twists and turns, I chose pastoral ministry as the venue by which I would be able to help more people in more ways with less cost and less restrictions. So I became a pastor 50 something years ago. When I was in college, I was introduced to New Testament Greek, and I loved it. I found that my brain has some special sticky place for languages. So I know 8 or 9 or 10, something like that. Hebrew, Greek, Latin, a bunch of different ancient languages nobody really has any use for. And then English, Spanish, French, German, stuff like that. The New Testament Greek stuck in my head very well. I eventually became my professor's assistant, and then I became his replacement for a number of years at a local college. I've translated my passages from the New Testament consistently for the last 50 years. So I just open the Greek New Testament and read it. It is very interesting to hear people make claims and comments relative to what the original text says and means. And I find that somewhere between fascinating and amusing. Never makes me upset because everybody's on a learning curve. I'm on a learning curve like everyone else. One of the challenges that I had as a Bible-oriented person was hitting that last book of the New Testament, the book of Revelation, which never seemed to me to fit with everything else in the Bible. It presented a kind of a bizarre science fiction orientation. There's been a lot of books written about that. It's allegory or it's end times or whatever it happens to be. And I never had a mental satisfaction that any of those four interpretations were correct. Everyone believes one of the four, or they dismiss the book altogether as just a bunch of gobbledygook. I never had a mental rest, but I'm constantly curious. So about 20 years ago, I ended up waking up in the middle of the night, which some people do. On occasion, folks will get up and have a beverage, or maybe they'll take some medication, or they wander around for a few minutes, or they toss and turn in bed. I get up and read, and I usually read something. I have 4 or 5 books that I'm working on at any one time. And that particular day in early 2000s, I picked up my Bible and I read the book of Revelation from verse 1 to the very end of chapter 22, right straight through the entire thing without breaking. I didn't have any insights, didn't seem amazing to me, just a lot of information. The way my brain works is I create pictures out of the words that I'm using, and I store those pictures. And so I did that with the book of Revelation, and I'm not going to bore you with the details, but over the next 5 years, I did that about 25 times, maybe 30. Eventually, I had thousands of images in my mind, none of them really ordered, and I don't get distracted, as one of our speakers is going to talk about, with all the details, chasing after all the squirrels. I wanted to see, what does it really say all the way through? I won't go into all the details. We have a lot of guests to share. But at one point, I was reading in chapter 7, and John writes, an elder turned to me and asked me a question. Do you know who these in white robes are? And I said to him, no. And I saw that image. They were on a stage. This was a play. This was a first century presentation of John's story in the book of Revelation. And when I had that instantaneous image, all 10,000 pictures in my mind ordered themselves as a theatrical production of a play. And so I've worked on that project. My book is Experiencing Revelation. I own the website, Experiencing Revelation. And I'm introducing that idea. This is a great start. I've launched it, but this is a great place to talk about it. Anyway, there's other stuff too, but that's the kind of core that I've got for today.
Fantastic. Yeah, that is one of the more challenging books. It's not like it comes with author's notes when it comes down the Bible. So that's a great interpretation there.
If you sit and get a beverage and some popcorn and read through Revelation as if you're watching a play, don't get lost in the details. Read the entire thing. And I have a book on this, so you could do that. You see it, you experience the book entirely differently. And that's really the key point.
I'll have to try that. It's only like 6 pages long, right?
It's 22 chapters, 404 verses. It'll take about an hour and a half.
Oh, okay. Is that long?
Yeah.
Longer than I thought. Anyway, yeah, I'm always amazed by how short every part, because the whole Bible's 1,000 pages or something. So,
so when we get to the person, I think it's Kathi, that talks about chasing the squirrels and getting distracted. When people read the Bible, they read a verse, they find a word, and they get distracted and they're gone. And they lose the entire sense of what they're reading. It happens all over the Bible, but it happens in Revelation a lot. And when we get to Kathi, pay attention, because it's keeping yourself on track to always hear the entire story instead of little bits that drive you crazy.
Yeah, that's
for
one
me.
thing
I don't need to start the engine to be driven crazy. I'm already there.
That's one thing I noticed reading the letters of Paul is, people read them as if they are, the words of God, which, some people believe they are the words of God, but they're still written as letters. And they're written as letters by a founder to new members of a new organization who are still figuring it out. And I've been part of quite a few new and fledgling nonprofits and organizations and groups and whatnot. And when I apply that context to it and read it that way, first of all, they all open like letters. They're all like, dear my very good friends, and sorry I haven't seen you in so long, and I've been trying to get out there, but I've just been really, like, almost every letter starts with, I've been trying to get out there, but I'm just really, really busy. I got all this stuff going on, but I promise I'll be there soon. Which that may sound familiar from some people's lives. And then the way it's written, like you can imagine what letters he's responding to. And when you take it in that context, it makes a lot more sense than it's just, and of course he wrote it to one audience. He wasn't like, all right, I'm going to write a letter to the Church of Corinth, but this is probably going to be read by everyone throughout history and then used as canonical, used as canon for an entire religion. No, he was just talking to this one church having some problems and saying, hey, maybe stop doing the stupid things and start doing better things. So, yeah, context is really powerful there. But if anyone else has thoughts, feel free to jump in and shout them out.
Well, I love what you said, Myke, about not really understanding Revelations. As a daughter of a Baptist minister, I've read the Bible twice through and through, and Revelations always threw me for a loop. And as you know, I agree that using imagery would be an easier way to digest it. So I applaud you for coming up with that. Spirit gave that to you in the middle of the night, obviously, or throughout the years, and now you put it together. So that's really quite interesting to me.
I had a team of professional voice actors perform this play and recorded that. So we have that available on Audible. But the real nature of the book of Revelation is visual. There's a huge amount of visual content. And so I'm looking for someone who has a theater orientation or actually runs a theater that would be interested in doing this as a performance. I think if it is performed, people will understand this book entirely differently. It does not cause fear. It does not cause confusion. It actually is extremely enlightening.
Interesting. Really, really interesting.
So I just killed conversation, Michael. Sorry about that.
No,
Go ahead.
I'm extremely neurodivergent. So what I saw is, number one, stories are here for all humans. When a human expresses the Bible, then it's their perspective and experience of the Bible, and you transform that into a common interface of stories that now people can actually pick up. And I think that's that. And also, we have changed our awareness from generalizing ideas. That's why it was never wrong to have Bible and Buddha and Jesus and Muhammad and all these people. We have, because they're generalizations. And at that time, we were generalized: man, woman, of people, and that's it, basically, and now we are individuals. The internet has forced us to see niches and then move into one of oneness. And every time we generalize, so what we have to do now with all systems is what you did to update that the individual can actually be helped by a system. So the system still work on generalization. There's woman and man, but we know that there's women that are stronger than any man, and men that are more feminine than any woman can be. So because it's not about the gender, it's not about the race, it's not about thing, it's about the one-on-oneness. There's good white people and bad white people. There's from every gender, there's anybody good or white. And this is the big update we are currently doing, because we can't, systems force us to go back and say, no, go back to the Bible. No, use the Bible for your one-on-oneness, because everybody believes in God in a different way, right?
True.
I mean, the dirtiest word in the world is love and God, because we all have different, because we are one-on-one. That's the proof itself. We are all one-on-one. So I believe in God in one way, and you and all the other people live God in that way. And we also perceive love as unique, but we try to want to systemize it, and this is what love is. And then we come into the system relevant, reverse engineered, what should be empathy, what should be love, what should be caring. And it's everybody cares in a different way. Everybody contributes in a different way. And that's my whole shtick that I play, is see the system relevance and see the human centricity. And the more you are human centric and understand the one-on-oneness and our synergistic fit, the better you fit in systems and the more effective gets your contribution of all of us.
Yeah, Michael, what you're saying is interesting because it's. I'm actually working on writing a book that is tentatively called God's Manual for Living, and a metaphor that someone suggested. I'm not sure if they even meant it this way, but they suggested the idea, and I took it and ran with it. Is the idea of the Bible as a manual? So if you have if you buy a space heater from General Electric, and the manual in there says, "Do not leave your space heater on unattended because your house will catch fire," and you leave your space heater on, General Electric does not become wroth and come to your house and burn it down as punishment. It's a natural law that your space heater will cause a fire in your house. The manual is simply saying, we know how this thing works, and we're warning you if you do this, a bad thing's going to happen. And so that's how I've started interpreting it. It makes a lot more sense because otherwise, why is a loving God condemning people to hell? Like that's, I love you all except you're going to burn forever. Huh? Yeah. Wait, that's a bipolar God. That's not a loving God. But then once I realized if you instead look at it as an all-knowing God who says, well, if you do this, it's going to turn out badly. So don't do this. If you do this, that's also going to turn out really badly. So I'm going to just make a list of all the things that I know are going to turn out badly and then give you that list so you can not do it. But then I had this concept of everyone has their own manual. So you could use an LG microwave manual for a Samsung microwave, and it'll probably work because they're all microwaves. But then every once in a while, there's something subtly different. Like when we moved into our house, there was a metal rack in our microwave. And what's the one thing you know about microwaves? Never put metal in the microwave. We grew up, never put metal in the microwave. That's what the manual says. And so we opened the mic. The first thing we did, took that rack out. Like, oh, there's metal in the microwave. But the manufacturer put that rack in the microwave. They knew what they were doing. And then it occurred to me, I've never read a microwave manual. My parents told me the manual says, don't put metal in the microwave.
That's true.
Yep. And so
I'm one of those people that when I get a new device of any kind and it has a manual, I actually do read the entire thing from the first to the last. And usually at the last page, there's a picture that shows all of the parts exploded. And I study that so that I have in my mind everything that I need to know. And I have hundreds of those in my mind. But I read those manuals from page 1 to page 92 in every language that I know. So I am one of those people.
It's your perception, right? So it's your perception of things. So it works for you. I enjoy the figuring out myself without it. I enjoy it. It fulfills me to figure out myself. And what I want to say is like everybody. So if I'm healed by a certain diet, or I'm just saying, hey, aspirin really helped me, that means you're not going to be healthy by my aspirin because I got healthy by aspirin, because you might get an anaphylactic shock and die from aspirin. So when we get away in generalization, and this, the awareness here is that we understand one-on-one. We're not saying, oh, it's about gender, race, and whatever, but we understand one-on-oneness. And everybody is unique in whatever there is, and nobody right. Only in system relevance there can be an expert in microwaves, an expert that thing. But in human centricity, everybody is one, and there's no right and wrong. Because how can there be right and wrong when everybody is one-on-one? It can't be. It can only be in systems that are linear, and they say you got to do 3 steps, 1, 2, 3, and to reach that goal in that system. But that's not even true, because when you are successful people, they all tell you different things on how they got successful. They all tell you different things on how they become a leader. It's their individuality, and by dancing with each other and not saying, oh, I'm right and you're wrong, we learn the most by saying, hey, that was my experience. What was yours, right?
When you were talking about writing your book, God's Manual for Living, Michael, I'm very excited to hear how read how it comes out. It reminded me of Emmett Fox. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Emmett Fox, but he actually wrote a book that totally explained to me the Sermon on the Mount. And I thought that was pretty amazing. And he does manuals for living based on, Bible, but he actually made it understandable. And I'm like, oh, now I get what he's saying. So I'm looking forward to your book.
Awesome. Well, before we go chase any more squirrels and dive down any more rabbit holes, there's like 19 tracks of conversation we could go down. I'm going to introduce Kathi Burns, who will, I don't know if she organizes conversations, but she organizes everything else as a professional or board certified professional organizer, image consultant, author, and speaker. So her bio says her mission for 2 decades has been to help entrepreneurs go from overwhelmed, indecisive, and disorganized to clear, automated systems that easily generate more income. And Kathy's been lauded as a successful woman startup business by Good Morning America. And since then, her advice has been featured in Oprah Magazine, Martha Stewart Living, Better Homes and Gardens, Entrepreneur Magazine, and more. I was about to shorten the bio, and then I realized, wait, all those make me look good because she's on my show too. So now the Power Lunch Live show can be listed with Oprah Magazine, Martha Stewart Living. What do those have in common? Kathi Burns has been on all of them. So, Kathi, share a bit of your wisdom of how to keep focused.
Oh, I love hanging out with you, Michael. So thank you for that intro. Yes, and I wrote it too. Okay, so look, today I'd like to talk to you about squirrels. Did you know that 40% of the nuts that squirrels bury, they lose? Yeah, 40%. Now, we think that that's something, but if we think about what we do as typical business owners, as the typical humans on the face of earth, only 20% of what we do is effective. 80% is lost. Now, squirrels are, they're one up on us, actually. So think about it this way. Think about this. Have you ever lost anything? Have you ever lost your phone, your glasses that were on your head, your keys? Here's the thing. We lose things every single day, and it's costing us. In fact, the average entrepreneur wastes 4 hours a week just trying to find things that they know that they own that they cannot find. That 4 hours a week ends up being a month a year. A month a year, right? I added it up. Typically, we lose 9 items every single day. In the normal course of a lifetime, that's 198,000 things that we've lost that we cannot find. And it's costing us, right? So think about it. 1 month a year, chasing squirrels, trying to find things. What could we do with that month? We could be taking a month off. We could be using that month to make more income. We could do whatever we want with that month. Who wants a month a year back in their life? Yeah, I think we all do. So how do we get that month back? Well, there's 3 steps that you can take to get more done in less time, to stop chasing squirrels, and to make more money. The first thing is tackle your papers and your documents. Okay, we all spend so much time looking for documents that we generated or that we printed. It's in a pile somewhere. We can't find it. We don't know where it is. And then maybe we recreate it. Hey, I've done that. It's like, I know that I made it, but I can't find it. So I'm just going to make it again. Where'd the time go? Right? So we can get track of our papers. The 3 things to do with your papers is, and in your documents, once you generate them, have a place for them to land. Know where they're going to land, right? And have a specific place. As you need them, have a specific place where they're going to live. Where can you find them? Where are they going to live? Is there a set strategy for where those papers are going to either physically land on your desk or physically live on your desktop? And then here's the kicker that no one ever thinks about. You want an exit strategy. You want a way to get those things gone when you no longer need them. How many times have you looked for something and then you're like, oh, and then you're distracted? This happens to me. I have ADD. I will admit it. Oh, there's that article I wrote a long time ago. There's that thing that's not even relevant in my life anymore. Why didn't it leave my life? Right? Nothing ever leaves. That's why we're cluttered up. So having a landing, living, leaving exit strategy for papers and documents that you make will give you a step in the right direction. The next thing you can do is plan ahead. Yeah. And I have a really hard time with this. I'm a self-confessed squirrel chaser, right? Seriously. So having a plan will keep me linear and focused on what I need to do. So planning your day before it plans you is a huge thing. Do you know what you're going to do today? I knew this is one of the things I'm going to do today. After this, I know 3 other things that I'm going to do. The idea is to have a list to keep you focused whenever something happens, because guess what? Things always happen. Yeah. There's going to be a phone call. There's going to be a fire from somebody else that they want you to tackle. And that's cool. You can tackle someone else's fire. You can go into the burning fire with your suit on and save the day. But if you haven't planned, you get back after saving the day, you don't know what you didn't do. Right? So if you know what you're going to do, it also helps you make a plan of, do I need to jump in and get that fire? Do I have time to jump into that person's fire? Or should I say, I love that you thought of me, but I just can't deal with it because I have this deadline, right? So if you plan ahead, you know how to react when life happens, because life always freaking happens. There's always somebody jumping in there. The best laid plans, we've all heard that. Mice and men. Yeah. So the third thing, and I'll just leave you with this, is make sure that you clear your clutter. As a professional organizer, I just have to say that if you have a bunch of stuff laying in your environment, laying all over your desktop, literally your computer monitor, you're going to get sidewalked and sidetracked and so on and so forth. So make sure that you diligently have open space in your life, in your workspace, in your home, so that you can think clearly. Because if you're cluttered, your mind's cluttered. Your physical environment will totally blank out your mind. You can walk in with your day plan, but then you're distracted by, oh, what is that over there? I don't know what that is. Like, you could be on the phone talking to somebody and you're present with them, and then you look over at this pile. And here's the thing, piles silently scream at you about things left undone. Any pile in your life is for one of 3 things. You either don't know what to do with it, you're indecisive, you know what to do with it, you're procrastinating, or you just throw it in this corner and you're avoiding it all the way together. Like all those bags in your closet, maybe. Anybody have any of those? The client, the guests come and then you throw all the crap in the bag and you throw it in the closet. Yeah, there you are out there. Okay, but we know all the things that are left undone in our life, and that's a complete distraction. So listen, gang, I help people go from overwhelmed, indecisive, and just out of sorts into helping them get created systems that help them get more done in less time and make more money. If you're interested and you want to do something about this little situation in your life, go to chatwithkathi.com. I have chaos to clarity sessions or chaos to cash sessions, depending on what you really want in your life. In that time, I will help you kind of pinpoint what you can do to make your life a little bit better, to make more money. It's typically $497, but Michael's my friend. And so I'm giving away what I'll do. I think I cleared my schedule. There's 6 spots right now available. So anybody who wants to jump into chatwithkathi.com, you can grab one of those 6 sessions, save yourself some money, make yourself some more money, save yourself time. That's about all I have to say. But I appreciate Michael and being on your show. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing. That's my first thought, as I sometimes have when people speak on my show, is here I am getting called out of my own show again. But I'm actually much more organized than I used to be. One of the I love what you're saying about having the plan and the list, because I've tried all kinds of complex and simple strategies. The most powerful strategy that I have found to stay organized and focused is I have 3 monitors. My third monitor is actually a television that we inherited when we bought the house, and it plugs into the TV. And so the big monitor on the right there, I have a WordPad file. This is my fancy state-of-the-art organization technology. WordPad comes with Windows, and I have a list of everything that needs to be done. And it goes from the bottom up, because when I finish it, I move the space in the list up. So I hit enter, I hit delete, moves. If I come up with something, I need to do that, I then look at the list and say, where does it go? It goes after this and before this. If there's something like I need to do that eventually, all the way at the top, back of the line. And if I get distracted, so I'm like, okay, I need to do this. That requires opening my email. Oh, an email. I must then write at the bottom of the list the thing I'm now doing. So when I finish that, I can go back to the list, and I haven't actually gone off track. I simply added another item to the front of my list. So I'm always on the list as long as I add something to it. And that avoids, because otherwise, you go down the rabbit hole and you come back out and you're like, what was I doing? It is so powerful just to be able to look over there. Everything's right there. And then the other thing I've started doing is focus on the week, the month, and the quarter. And I have about 20 square feet of whiteboards, which is not as much as it sounds like. Sounds like a big number. But on those, I have like, here's what I'm doing this week. Here's what I'm doing in July. Here's what I'm doing in Q3. And then everything can be compared to, does this actually advance the focus for July? And if not, why am I doing it?
Yeah, that's always a question of the day. You're doing an abridged version. My favorite list technique is using the Ivy Lee method. Has anybody here ever tried it or heard of it?
Is that the six items for the day?
Yeah. Schwab hired Ivy Lee, whatever, almost 100 years ago to come in and help productivity with his staff. And he said, I will go to your O's and I'll spend 15 minutes each with them. And in 3 months, if you think that they've made any improvement, then you can pay me. And so what he did, all he did was say, list 6 things that you're going to do today. List them out and then order them in the order of importance as they should be. That's always the hard part for me. Is like, what's the most important thing? And then the most super hardest thing is you have to do 1 before you do 2. And you have to do 2 before you do 3. And if at the end of the day you've only done 4, then guess what? 5 and 6 become 1 and 2. So 3 months later, Schwab sends him a check for $40,000, which is about $350,000 right now. So it definitely improved productivity. And for me, it really helps me focus. If I have more than 6 things, I'm just like, woo, off into another planet. So I love what you're doing, Michael, because that's an abridged version and you are tracking what you're doing. And actually going to that email and writing it down is awesome because then you can check it off. And there's nothing better than checking off things on your list.
And the number of times at the end of the day, I've been like, I don't think I really got anything done today. I got distracted, whatever. And then I look at the list and it's screen. And actually, I take that list and put some commentary on it and then email it to my wife. I don't know if she reads the emails or not, but at least create that form of accountability. I'll just put it in a document for myself. But I've had emails where like, I feel like I didn't get anything done today, but here's all the tasks that are checked off my list. So I must have done something. Boom. Last time I did that, there were 23 items on the completed task list. It's like I must have gotten something done. So, it's really, but so simple. So much simpler. There's motion, there's AI, and there's all these different things. And the thing that works is WordPad.
Yeah.
And then taking some time to decide what goes on that list and in what order and what needs to get done and understanding all that. And our friend Dean Hankey has some, yuppers keep it super simple. No one will do it if it's confusing or complicated. It has to be implementable for sure. And we all struggle with this.
Yuppers.
Yuppers. Yep. Any thoughts from our gallery here?
Yes. Somebody has to mute because we are feedbacking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kathi, I'm going to keep unmute yourself if you want to speak, but I think it's your mic feeding back.
Yeah.
There we go.
So it's so super interesting because we do what fulfills us, right? And when Kathi explains this, it's as simple as that fulfills her. And then you jumped in and said, what fulfills you? Again, the one of oneness. I could never do either things that you say, even though I totally know they work. I know they're 100%. If I could do them, they're 100% working. And that's not that I'm lazy. That's I'm functioning in a different way.
Yeah.
That's why and it's all about the one. And I learned it the hard way because I wanted to read. I wanted to speak. I wrote 5 books and can't read them. I have the computer to read them because of my dyslexia. So that's why I found that the hard way, because I had tutors. I wanted to go to school, and I had to literally have eight years of school and had to repeat 2 because I was born in Vienna in Austria, and had to they don't take you with them. So when you can't, they said to me, of course, that was 40 years or 50 years ago. They said to me, yeah, you're dyslexic. They didn't even say dysgraphia, which I was, found out that I have that too. But they say, oh, you're dyslexic, but you have to do everything else what we do. And this is what usually systems do, because they outdated. They're not updating to our one-of-oneness. And so they force us to do these things that Kathi creates the solution, and Michael, you create the solution to your own self. But basically, you both created something that works for you, and it might not work for everybody else. And and the updating of system is see that and say, this was what happened to me. This was worked for me, and this was all the people I coach. But it might not work for you, and for make it yours. Like read the Bible of, Myke, read the Bible, but make it yours. Believe in God and make it yours. Be the Buddha and be the whatever you in whatever situation you are, and make it yours. Because the systems are so exploited always from it's never good enough, no matter what we do, that we have to do what we do here right now. So the systems drive us from financial principles that are before capitalism and communism. That the financial principles say they're not binary, good or bad, right or wrong. And they say it's never enough. What's the opposite? What is the opposite that's never enough no matter what you do? There is no opposite. And that drives us to being super structured, almost like computer-like. And it also pushes us in the fight-flight situation where we are dependent on system relevance. Because when I cannot think rationally, fight-flight brings me that. And because money, it has become survival. So money equals survival. So that pushes me into system, into a fight-flight. And then I hold on to anything. Then I hold on to Kathi, Michael, and I force myself to that helps me, because I say these guys know, they're the experts. They need to know. But what actually can be more effective, that whatever you do, you do, and it says, yeah, and you have to make it yours. I think that because the systems are not going to update to not tomorrow to, hey, we're not generalizing anymore, We're not a special race. We're not a special thing. And we are one-on-one. And so what we have this to offer, but you have to make it yours in some way or form. And there's no right or wrong, because you are one-on-one to actually implement that great wisdom that you guys share. I hope that makes a little sense.
And Dr. Merrill shared in the chat, he mentioned Dr. Ron Davis has a fabulous book called The Gift of Dyslexia. And I think I found the theme of the show, which is at least 4 of the 5 of us have neurodiversity. I don't know if Vera does as well. She has not revealed yet. But I will mention I did a limited run podcast. Ooh, look, I misspelled that. I did a limited run podcast some time ago. I don't know how long. I have ADHD. Time has no meaning. But I interviewed 23 entrepreneurs who are successful because of, not in spite of, their neurodiversity. And one was Paul Daniels, a coach who teaches people to be more dyslexic. He teaches them to unlock the gifts that dyslexics naturally have. So he's dyslexic, and he's like, I'm dyslexic. I'm going to teach you to be like me. And so if that's of interest, I encourage you to check that out, because I record the podcast because so many people look at their ADHD, dyslexia, autism, whatever it might be, as a disability. And I'm like, I know too many millionaires who credit their neurodiversity for their success to think of it as a disability anymore. It's a difference, and it's a disability if you're in the wrong situation, but it's making people millionaires when they use it the right way. So I wanted to share those examples. And before we run out of time, I did want to give Vera a chance to share, because she has been quiet in the corner. But
it's It's been a wonderful experience. My background, I'm an attorney, and we generally talk too much. And with that being said, it was really wonderful to hear and listen to everybody's stories. Just fascinating. I just love it. But what um what you've all offered has been so special and unique because everybody has a neurodiversity. Actually, I don't know. Maybe I am. I don't know. I've never been formally diagnosed as such. But some of the things that you've been said, Kathy's been great at getting everyone. I'm just going to try to wrap up everything really in a nice little bow. Kathy has been wonderful with explaining how people can get themselves more organized, and in turn, that organization will help save them time and money. I think Dr. Mykeell Merrill has been wonderful at getting us at a spiritual place that really reveals how the Bible works in Revelations, and we all can get a revelation from that. And then I think Michael M has been just great with pulling it together in the sense that, you know, he's just been good at showing everybody if you're different, accept your and embrace your difference. And with you embracing your difference, you'll be able to serve a lot of people a lot better. So that's kind of what I've gotten from this whole discussion. And Michael, what I love is the idea about your book, your book about the Bible being a manual for life. I mean, if you look at it, it truly reveals that from generations to generations, it's been a book that speaks to everyone in some kind of way. And that's the beauty of what Michael is saying. Michael, is saying, hey, embrace it as your own. And Dr. Myke is saying, take the time and keep yourself on track. So it's been great listening to everyone and everyone contributing, to it. I'm just loving it. I'm like kind of really soaking it all up as a sponge because it's just been a great 45-50 minutes with all of the great things that all of you are doing and contributing to the world. It's just been great. Thank you so much for having me on, Michael. I appreciate it.
Great. Well, glad to have you. Yeah, and that's the same thing with the show. People sometimes will ask me. Usually they've seen a few minutes of it and they have a sense of it. But to what Michael M was saying. Oh, we got Dean. We really do have 5 guests. We just have Dean in the comments. So to what Michael M was saying about how do it your own way and whatnot. There's certainly some aspects of my business that I would not replicate and should not be continuing. Like, chasing after 14 things and completing 0 of them. But, the way I run this show, which is arguably part of my business, because I put some promotional links in various places throughout the day, throughout the hour, I think most people who are experts in podcasting and social media and whatnot, they'd say, if they're polite about it, they would say, well, it's an interesting concept to bring on 4 random guests and have them talk about whatever's on their mind. But what are you really trying to do with that? Because, what does this show do? Does it draw a huge audience? Well, it's kind of hard because it's something different every week. Does it, drive to a certain call to action? It's kind of hard because it's something different every week. But, for me, it works partly because I'm the guy who knows the guy. So I know a lot of people. Here, let me introduce you to 4 of them, right? That makes sense for me. It wouldn't make sense for Kathy to do a show like this every week. Like, I bring on 4 random people every week. What? Why is the organizer talking to 4 random people? Guy who knows a guy? Yeah. I know enough people that I could bring on 4 different people every week for the rest of eternity, and you'd never see the same people twice. Although I do encourage people to come back. But it works for what I'm doing. And I think that's a challenge for entrepreneurs is that sometimes there's a difference between, well, this works for me and my vibe, and I'm doing it my way, and that's why I'm broke. Because there's certain things that just work. Like, it's great that it works for you, but does it make money or does it serve the objective? So I think there's that balance between authenticity, authenticity to yourself and not, I'm just doing what I'm doing and doing the things that actually work. which in entrepreneurship is tough because you can really easily end up being the rando guy. No, he's a rando guy. You can chase squirrels and not realize it and think you're in the business. Be like, no, I'm doing, look, I'm building my list. Oh, look, I got connections. My network's bigger, but you got to actually close that, all the way together. So it is 7 minutes to the end of the hour. And what happens at the end of the hour? I go off to another place, which I'm going to invite everyone to, which is the Entrepreneur Village every Friday at 2:00 Eastern, which is 1 hour after 1:00 Eastern when this is. So don't do the math. It's 7 minutes from now. If you go to guywhoknowsaguy.com/village, if you like hanging out with people and having these kinds of conversations, the village is kind of like this, but bigger and not broadcast the internet with some guests sometimes. So if you would like to join us, by all means do that. But in the meantime, in our last 5 minutes, let's get some closing thoughts from our guests. So we'll do this in reverse order. So I'll have Vera have a closing thought first, and then Michael, then Kathi, then Dr. Myke, and then me.
Thank you so much for having me, Michael. Thank everyone that's been on the show today. My closing thoughts are, if you get a chance, go check out Financial First Aid, my YouTube channel, and you'll hear great stories from great people who are all entrepreneurs in their own right. And it's just wonderful to have been a part of this program. I actually do have one of my podcasts with Whitehouse on it. So it was great having him on the podcast, and we had a good time, and I'm glad that I got a chance to come out with you guys and hang out with you today. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. And Michael M.
I'm still digesting. I'm letting it percolate, whatever comes in. But as you, I want to also add this, that I was just in January diagnosed. I was just retested about my dyslexia, and I was literally 2 points about autism or mentally retarded. Just to give you how good system relevance is. The system relevance bleaches us all out when we generalize and say, I'm dyslexic. No, I'm dyslexic too. There's no dyslexic person that is the same. Neurodiversity are the canaries of coal mines. We are the canaries of humans. We are the hypersensitive that cannot adapt, that are incapable. We don't have the energy to adapt because it's so hard for us to just exist and just contribute. So the only way for us is to find yourself and be the most that you can and not sell ever out and just be who you are. And I think that's actually for every human. Yeah. Because when you say, Michael, about the business, the business should be a reflection of you, not of anybody else. And when you're not having enough the you in the business, then the business fails. That's why 97% of businesses fail and nobody talks about that. 97% of businesses fail after the second year or third year because of cash flow. So, 1% of podcasters make 98% of the podcast revenue. We have to start to be honest to each other, dance like here, where nobody's right or wrong. We just contribute our experiences, which opens it's the real power. That's what you are, Michael. Your thing is the real power of this event is to open perspectives where we all can experience how our human potential, not the system relevance, our human potential expands. And I thank you for that.
All right.
And I thank everybody for your and beautiful dance.
Kathi.
In closing, I agree with you, Michael M. We're all unique. We're all different. I, as an artistic creative organizer, I'm not the normal thing because I'm also a stylist. I'm not the typical organizer. So I love the fact, for me, it's about creativity, creating a unique system for each person. That's the jam for me. That's the only reason I've been doing it 20 years, because it's always amusing. There's always a system that can be individualized for each client. And that's a creative process. So, the more creative we are, the more I'm able to express my creative leanings and create new systems specifically for the people. Makes me happy. So go to organizeandenergize.com. There's a free download. Also subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/Kathi Burns, Kathi, Kathi Burns. Anyhow, thank you, Michael, for having me on. I love this panel. We're so different and we're so alike at the same time. It worked out just great. Like you said, the big universe provides the perfect people for your show.
Yep, 60 episodes and counting now. So, and I almost put the wrong Michael. Mike, Dr.
There is
Myke
no
Merrill.
such thing as a wrong Michael.
All you Michaels are right, huh?
Yeah.
Anyway, final thoughts.
In writing this project on Revelation, probably the most difficult aspect was imagining in my own mind that other perspectives which have been held for a couple of thousand years might be wrong. That I could explore something no one else seems to have wanted to even imagine. And at the beginning, 30 years ago, the negative push was not you're wrong. It is you couldn't possibly be right. And standing up to that in my own mind, that was the hardest thing of all. I think entrepreneurs typically struggle with that social pressure to conform or just to give up because you couldn't be right. That would make everyone else wrong. Part of what Michael is saying is, no, that's not necessarily true. Explore the options and find something that maybe nobody else has discovered. That really was the hardest part of this whole project.
Okay. And we are all right, Mike, right? And we are all right in this one. We are all different and we are all right. And in human centricity, you contribute. We are collective creative species. We are all right. But in systems, it's binary. It's right or wrong. And we allow the system to force us to go in that one direction by saying, oh, it's not Michael. I don't care what you do. You know, it's not possible because the science says this. But science grows too. Everything grows.
Correct.
Well, the system of the clock is telling me that we're out of time and I need to get to the village. But if you like watching the show and you say, I could see myself on that stage, well, then if you find there it is, come back around again. Find this link right here, guyknowsaguy.com/power lunch. There it is. Fill out the form. Give me the dates you're dates you're available. That way I'm talking, I could run for president. Give me the dates that you are available, and you too could be on this stage with us. And I encourage you to get your tickets to JV Connect if you like a different kind of networking event that is never boring, always fun, always profitable, valuable, meet great people. jvconnect.com. Tickets are still only $50 for now. I'll probably fix it later today and they'll go to $70, but right now they're $50. So why would you wait? And right now, Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, that's a minute ago, actually, I gotta go, is the Entrepreneur Village, guyknowsaguy.com/village. So thank you everyone for being here on this fabulous show, and for everyone at home, join us 167 hours from now for the next Power Lunch live show. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.